Controller is the hardest role to climb on in Valorant. At least that's what I thought. So I decided to play controller until I reached top 100 Radiant. So here are 6 things that you need to learn to carry as controller in ranked. Number 1, you have to know how to hold down your bomb site. I think this is such a huge weakness that I see when I review controller VODs or when I'm playing with other controllers when I'm playing Duelist, is that they just play so scared and they're so willing to give up the site. And then when I started playing controller, I was like, okay, this is not working. I need to play a little bit more aggressive. When I'm holding down a site, I'm just really trying to kill 1, kill 2, stay alive, do the most that I can and just be annoying. Essentially, like the mindset that I have into the round is if they come to my bomb site, I'm going to win the round. I'm going to hold down the site. I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm not going to run away. Of course, if they have ultimates, you can play off site, but typically on a normal round, especially on pistol rounds or first gun round, you need to leverage the time that you actually get to have impact on the game, because typically controllers don't really get to have that much impact. And a site hold is, the very few chances that you get. So you need to make the most out of it. So some quick examples that I want to run through for site holds is Ascent A site and Haven C site. I play Omen on both of these maps. So for Ascent A site, I like to play Dice, smoke A main. I like to smoke a little bit deeper than just on the entrance. By making it a little bit deeper, they have to hold W out of the smoke, and then my flash also keeps them in the choke a little bit longer. Generally, a good timing for it is when they start coming out. So, with a jet dash, if you can get the timing when the jet dash is out and you blind her, she's gonna have to refresh her smoke, which is good because it's only 2.5 seconds now. That buys time for your teammates to rotate and gives you a little bit of a chance to isolate the jet. After your initial engagement with the flash, at least on Ascent A, I try my best to stay alive, because if you over peek and die, then your teammates can't run through the smokes and help you. So that's really important as a site anchor, is try to get a kill, but more importantly, you stall as long as possible. Now on Haven C site, you can employ a pretty similar strategy where you're just spotting C-long either by jump peeking or by holding a pixel angle, and then you smoke C-long, you flash when they come out, try to go for the duel, and then you smoke mid-site and you just stay alive back plat. That's my favorite way to play Haven C, and it works pretty well because if you can stall long enough, your B rotators come in and then you can hold down the site. I can't emphasize this enough. If you guys don't know how to hold down your sites, look at VODs, look at Xander VODs, look at Bang VODs, look at any good controller player and figure out how they hold down their sites, because it's step number 1, at least for your defense half. So tip number 2 is throwing supporting smokes on defense. Now most of you guys are probably thinking, oh yeah, if I'm playing A, I'm going to smoke B main or something like that. Like that's standard, that's fine, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you're playing Ascent A and they're rushing B, you smoke backside B so your B anchor can stay alive and you can play around the site. Or you can do some flood smokes where you smoke in front of spawn right next to stairs so your CT player can run out and then get on site and help your teammate. Smokes like this have an intent. A mid-site smoke is going to imply that your teammates are going to fight on site and they can play around and have that space. And a flood smoke is going to imply your teammate's going to run out of the spawn and help your teammate. So it just simplifies the game a little bit more and helps your teammates directly instead of just doing a standard smoke. You can see these smokes kind of rising in popularity if you watch any of the VCT games or any high-level streamers. There's always going to be a mid-site smoke somewhere. Bind A site is going to be in between default triple, like that showers area. And then on Haven A site, they like to do the smoke front short. So not really on the choke of short, but like it kind of blooms towards default as well. And people like to sit in it or sit behind graffiti, things like that. So for number 3, I think lurking is overrated. I find that controller players lurk every single round. They lurk too much and they really never get to play the game. Now don't get me wrong, lurking has its place. I need to do it more when I play controller, but I find that even if I don't lurk, I can get my sentinel to lurk, or I can throw the smokes for my teammates, take a fight, and then pick up flank after. But I find that if you can just, be with your teammates and trade a little bit more and make the executes a little bit stronger, then your lurks are also stronger because they expect you to be on the execute and they're not ready for the lurk. So just mixing it in is super powerful. I think the important takeaway here is being a good controller player means identifying when it's better to lurk and when it's better to be with your teammates. And I don't think a lot of people know that. At least I didn't at the start, and it's still something I'm working on. A lot of you guys have been asking me about coaching. If you guys are interested, I think this is the best coaching program that I have made so far. The coaching program, I'm looking to fill up 5 slots, potentially more, but I'm going to start out with 5. And you guys can sign up for a free discovery session to see if we'll be a good fit. Check out the Discord for more details and links to schedule. As well as on top of that, if you guys can't afford the coaching program, I've decided to offer something called the player breakdown, which is a lot more accessible. And it's essentially just one session where I take a look at 3 of your VODs in advance for 3 different maps compared to your standard 1 map VOD review. And back to the video. Tip number 4 is you have to be part of the play. Don't rely on your teammates to do everything. This can apply for offense and defense, but I think it's a little bit more intuitive when you think about it for offense. So Omen, for example, most people use the smokes in the dark form, but if you can kind of just do it with the transparent form and aim the smokes with your mini map, you can kind of navigate the map a little bit more. You can stare at your mini map to call for your teammates, and you just be a little bit closer to the action and be a little bit more involved instead of being disconnected. Or if you're playing Astra, you know, quickly place your stars, exit your smoke form, and then just run up in the execute as you're popping your smokes, as you're popping your stun, just on your screen instead of in your smoke form. I think Brim is pretty much the easiest with this. You just put your smokes in the pre-round, place them, throw your stim, run onto the site with your teammates and shoot your gun. It sounds obvious when I'm talking about it, but this is kind of something that I struggled with at the start, is because I had this kind of idea that as a controller, I'm going to be fourth into the bomb site. But if you are quick enough with your smokes, you can kind of be second or third in sometimes and trade your duelist, which is pretty important. And especially if you're playing Omen, you can throw your smokes and then TP into your jet smoke on the entry and just gain some space like that. And by being part of the play, you can actually influence the round by getting trades, you know, by getting kills, holding smokes, things like that, breaking teammates' utility. Whereas like if you're just playing a little bit slower and you're just not really there, you're going to be a little bit too far away from the play, or at least the execute, and you won't have as much impact as you want. So the next idea is that creative utility is necessary, not optional. Most people probably think about this in lineups, which, you know, lineups are helpful. I think they're good to have. But more importantly, I think falling one-way smokes as Omen is really good to exercise. TPing in unexpected situations, just being in the moment and just going for a timing. Astral pullback stars, you know, isolating angles, kind of treating it as a jet smoke, just things like that. Viper orb drops, like, you know, you're going into your Viper orb, you drop the smoke, you get a peak timing. I don't really see controller players go for plays like this too often, where like they have a little bit of an edge or agent master on their agent and just get kills that way. It's really good to cheese kills because you don't have a flash, you know, you don't have a nade, so you have to kind of be a little bit more creative with it to get that advantage in the duel. Last but not least is you have to be good at reading the minimap. This might sound kind of obvious, but when you play controller, you have to read the minimap, I think, a little bit more than other roles, because you have like cross map utility, you have to get good timing, especially on executes or retake scenarios. This can apply as well for when to go for lurks, or dictating your lurk timing based on how quick your teammates are executing, if they're dying, if they're winning. This can also help when you're anchoring a site. Should I rotate here? Should I actually stay? You know, reading the minimap, seeing what's going on in the game, and just making decisions off of that, I think is really important to have as a skill. And honestly, it's not really talked about enough. Just developing that reading skill, just figuring out why you're doing something, I think is really important to have. So maybe to do a quick recap: number 1, you have to know how to hold down your bomb site. Number 2, throwing supporting smokes on defense. Number 3, lurking is overrated. Number 4, creative utility is necessary, not optional. Number 5, you have to be part of the play. Don't rely on your teammates to do everything. And number 6, you have to be good at reading the minimap. I think if you can kind of learn those 6 skills, you'll be well on your way to carry your games in controller, and at the very least have more impact. Thanks for watching the video. You know, like, comment, whatever, do all the YouTube stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.